Hi, I'm James Mead, Chair of the Department of Commerce, and I'm here for this week's Dean's List. I'm happy to introduce our esteemed colleagues from economics, Dr. Cody Reinhardt and Dr. Richard Hawkins, and we're here to talk about some of the classes and activities and centers here related to economics that you can get involved in. So let me just start out and ask, what do you think the students like? Why are they valuable?
I like all sorts of applied microeconomics classes. So what we do there is we take some basic models, which is a lot of what economics is, and then we apply it to microeconomic problems. So that might be the housing market and why houses are so expensive, or it might be the labor market and why we seem to have this divide between high-paying jobs and low-paying jobs, or it could even be environmental economics, and we look at these activities that generate external goods and unfortunately bads.
I was going to say one of, I think, my favorite topics in economics personally is behavioral econ. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Behavioral econ is a neat way to look at consumers and how psychological forces often influence their decisions. So, we have a classic saying in economics that money's fungible, right? It doesn't matter where it came from. You're going to spend it on its best use. Well, in behavioral economics, there's a series of studies that show that money's not so fungible.
Sure.
That if grandma gives it to you, you're going to treat it differently than if it came in the paycheck.
Oh yeah, which is fascinating. People have these sort of mental accounts with where they store their money.
Well, and then also on the business side, a smart marketing department needs to know that all money isn't treated equally by the household. So if you're selling them cars, that's a different mechanism for the household than if you're selling them laundry detergent.
Well, really interesting. Dr. Reinhardt, what are some of your favorite classes here?
So some of my favorite classes include urban and regional economics, so applying economic theory to economic activity that's over space, between cities, within a city, firm and consumer location decisions, and also health economics. And one thing I like most about these courses is that you're exposed to a lot of interesting and just cool data. So data about incomes over space, so how people tend to earn more money in major metro areas, even in the same job sectors and job titles compared to non-metro areas. How prices change over space, so particularly price of housing, how it changes within a city. So being able to work with lots of interesting data and being able to understand the world a little bit better by looking at sort of current events through that lens.
Well, Dr. Reinhardt, I have a question about that. Now that we have this artificial intelligence, this set of tools out there, then a student, of course, can just upload the data and artificial intelligence will spit out the answer. I think there's more to that story, though, isn't there? How do you see it?
So there's more than just looking at data, putting in an equation and spitting out an answer. So part of what we learn in a lot of courses in economics is going to be understanding what you're looking at. So how is this data formatted? What are some important questions I should ask before I start working with this data? What's missing from this data set that might be useful to know or might impact my results? And a lot of that intuition that comes from economic theory is going to be missing when you're trying to funnel everything through AI or through a preset formula.
I think that it's going to not just be about understanding what is in the data, but really understanding how to interpret it and what it means, rather than just relying on AI to quickly run the data. So let's move on to talk about class projects, research opportunities, maybe even we'll throw in the Haas Center because that's related to economics.
One set of projects that we do in a forecasting class with the Center for Business Research and Economic Development here at UWF is a set of forecasts. So that would include traffic at the Pensacola Airport, but it would also include real estate transactions.
For those of us who don't know about the Haas Center, what is it?
Well, the Haas Center is a center for business research. So they include a whole lot of economic data, and you can find a lot of economic data at their website. But it's also a center that studies the regional economy.
Now, I've done a little bit of work with the Haas Center, and I know that they provide a great service to the community, a lot of market research that's economically sort of driven. One of the things that I would like to ask, what makes economics students desirable in the marketplace?
My answer has both a good and a bad side to it, and that is that economics can be humbling. It is not the easiest thing in the world, and it can be frustrating. But at the same time, to demonstrate to a potential employer that you soldiered through it. It's important in the marketplace to, to show that when you are faced with a challenge, like a project in an economics class, that you can roll up your sleeves, you can do it, and you can overcome hurdles.
What about the business skills that you might learn in addition to the demonstration of perseverance and maybe grit that the econ degree represents?
So there's a lot of different applications from our courses that could be used in sort of day-to-day business experience. So for example, we talked about working with data, both with formatting different types, so whether that data is formatted from Excel, Stata, or other databases, and working with different versions of that. Being able to take lots of data and find what's important and meaningful from it. We're always going to have more data than we could possibly process intuitively, but understanding what I need to look for and how to use it is a really valuable skill that firms are looking for, because like you said, if they try to instead turn to AI, you get some very interesting and maybe unproductive results. But in general, these skills they can apply to businesses. They come from economics, and they allow the students to problem solve these sort of difficult and unique problems from different sort of fields. So maybe behavioral economics here, health economics here, in a way that shows that they've had problem solving in different domains and have been successful across a different series of courses.
Interesting. Well, thank you. I think this has been a great session. So if you're interested in learning more about our econ classes or degree, I hope that you'll go to our website. Thank you very much for watching our video.